Something has changed in the South Bay real estate market. To be honest, in all of the LA market, including Long Beach. And I'm not talking about a crash. I'm talking about a genuine reset from one of the most frenzied sellers market in LA County history. Back in 2021, LA County home sales jumped 26% in a single year. Homes were selling in under 30 days with multiple over-asking offers with no contingencies. That world is gone. But current sellers are still stuck in that mindset. Active listings across LA County are now up almost 15% year over year. Days on market in LA County just hit 63, which means homes are taking about 20% longer to sell than just this time last year. And in the South Bay specifically, inventory is up 46% compared to the same time last year. But here is the part that most headlines miss. This shift is not happening the same way in every neighborhood. Manhattan Beach, Torrance, Palos Verdes Peninsula, Long Beach, they're all telling a very different story. So in this video, I'm going to cover what the market looked like before the shift and what actually triggered it, which areas are cooling fastest and which ones are still holding firm, and why, if you are a buyer or a seller, this is a must-watch video to understand what is happening in this changing housing market. I'm Matt Tilley, the British Bloke. I'm a local realtor, relocation specialist. I've been helping families and retirees buy and sell across South Bay and LA coastal cities for almost a decade, and I've dug into the data today across every one of these areas, so you don't have to. All right, cast your mind back to 2021, 2022. If you were trying to buy a home during that window, you already know how brutal it was. And if you weren't, here's what you missed. In 2021, home sales across LA County jumped 26% above the prior year. Think about that for a second. Not a steady climb, a 26% surge in a single year. And what was driving it was pretty simple. Mortgage rates were sitting around 3% for a 30-year fixed loan, and buyers were terrified of missing out. Every week that went by felt like another chance to get priced out forever. The result? Inventory evaporated. Homes were flying off the market. At the tightest point, May 2022, the median days on market across the LA metro bottomed out at around 29. But in desirable South Bay and Long Beach pockets, homes were getting sold by the first week on the market. I was working with buyers during that period, and it was genuinely stressful for them. You'd find something great, write a strong offer, above list price, waive contingencies, and still lose to someone paying all cash. Multiple offers weren't the exception, they were the rule. Families were flying in from out of state, seeing a house once, and putting in offers on the spot because they were scared of what prices would look like 6 weeks later. And here's what that environment did to sellers. It created a false sense of normal. If your neighbor listed at 2.4 million and got 2.7 million in a weekend with 5 offers, that felt like what the market does. So when sellers start hearing your home is priced too high, even a year or two later, it didn't compute. Because in their mind, the market always does this. That psychology is one of the biggest factors driving the current disconnect between what sellers expect and what buyers are actually doing. And it's something I'm having honest conversations about every single week. The other piece of context worth knowing is the volume, because that 2021 surge essentially borrowed demand from the future. Buyers who might have purchased in 2022 or 2023 got pulled forward to 2021. So when rates started rising in 2022, the pool of qualified willing buyers shrank fast. LA County sales ended 2022 a full 25% below 2021 volumes, according to First Tuesday Journal data. The hangover from the frenzy was sharp and quick. That is the baseline we are measuring against. And understanding just how extreme that period was makes it much easier to understand why the market feels so different today. So what exactly has caused the shift? Because it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't one single thing. The clearest trigger was mortgage rates. When the Federal Reserve started raising rates aggressively in 2022, 30-year fixed mortgages rates jumped from 3% to over 7% in less than 12 months. That is nuts. That is one of the fastest rate increases in modern history. And at that speed, it doesn't just slow the market, it stops it. Think about what this meant in dollar terms for a South Bay buyer. If you're financing a $1.5 million loan at 3%, your monthly payment's around $6,300 a month. At 7%, that same loan is closer to 10 grand a month. That's not a small difference. For the relocating families I work with, That gap can be the difference between buying in South Redondo Beach and buying in Torrance, or between buying it all and staying put. So buyers stepped back. Many of them had to. And the ones who didn't step back started demanding more for their money. Here's the thing though, rates are not over 7% anymore. As of July 2026, rates are hovering around 6.5%. That's a meaningful improvement. But the psychology has not fully recovered. Buyers who got burned competing in 2021 and 2022, or who watched rates spike and felt trapped, are now more cautious, more analytical, less emotional, and that changes how they behave at every price point. The other side of the equation is inventory. When rates spiked, sellers who had 3% mortgage locked in decided not to move. Why sell your home and trade a 3% rate for a 7% rate? So listings stayed low for a while, which kept prices propped up, even as demand cooled. But the dam has been breaking. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're relocating, comment below where from. And if you're watching from LA County, let me know where you currently live. I'm always intrigued. All right, according to First Tuesday Journal, for sale inventory across the LA Metro increased 28% in 2024 and another 12% in 2025. And in the South Bay specifically, inventory was up 46% compared to the same time last year. That is a massive change in the supply picture. More homes, fewer competing buyers, and more days to think. The result is exactly what you see in the numbers. In February 2026, LA County's median days on market hit 63 days, up from 55 days a year earlier. Active listings across LA County sat at almost 11,000 in January 2026, up 15% year over year. That's a very different market than home selling in 7 days with almost nothing to choose from. And what does this all add up to? Not a crash. The foreclosure rate in Los Angeles as of mid-2025 was just 0.2%. People are not losing their homes. Values have not collapsed. What has happened is a rebalancing. Sellers still have equity. Prices in most South Bay areas are flat to slightly positive year over year. But the frenzy is gone. The panic buying is gone. And that changes everything about how you should be approaching this market, whether you're buying or selling. If you've been sitting on the fence as a buyer, waiting for prices to drop dramatically, here is the honest truth. That crash is probably not coming. But the window you have right now is still real. And it is better than anything buyers had between 2020 and 2022. Let me put it plainly. Active listings across LA County are running between 6,700 and 9,400 homes county-wide. Compare that to 2021, when there was almost nothing to choose from. You now have options. You now have time. And if a home has been sitting for more than 60 days, you have real negotiating leverage. Across the South Bay, buyers are finding that this frenzied multiple offer environment has cooled significantly in most price tiers. And in some areas, it has cooled dramatically. In Palos Verdes estates, for example, the median days on market hit 99 earlier this year, with 7.4 months of supply. In that environment, you're not competing against 5 other buyers and waiving every contingency. You are sitting across the table from a seller who has watched their home sit for 3 months and is starting to recalibrate. In Long Beach, nearly 47% of homes saw price reductions as of January 2026. That figure was 38% the year before. That shift tells you sellers in Long Beach are adjusting to a new reality, and buyers who are patient and informed are benefiting from that. Now, here is the nuance I want you to hold on to, because this is where a lot of buyers get it wrong. Not every price tier is behaving the same way. The $1 million to $2 million range in markets like Torrance, North Redondo, parts of Hermosa Beach is more rate sensitive than the luxury end. Buyers financing at this level feel every movement in the rate environment. When rate drops, competition picks up fast. When rates tick back up, the same buyers pause. So if you're shopping in that tier and rates dip towards 5.5, expect the market to respond quickly. And for buyers who have been burned before, the good news is that the forecast for 2026 is modest appreciation, maybe 1 or 2%, according to LA Metro Home Finder. Prices are not expected to spike, but they are also not expected to fall significantly, which means the opportunity is now, while there is still selection, still negotiating room, and before any potential rate drop pulls more competition back into the market. Buyers who wait until late 2026 or early 2027, hoping for lower rates, could face higher prices and stiffer competition, even if the rate improvement comes through. Timing the market perfectly is nearly impossible. But buying strategically with the right home in the right area at the right price that reflects today's reality, that is very achievable right now. And that is exactly where I see buyers winning. Not by waiting for a crash, but by being prepared, knowing their target area cold, and moving when the right property comes up. And if you want some more information, download my relocation guide for free. You can just click on the link below. And if you are a buyer, click on the link below, do my neighborhood quiz. It'll kind of give you more information. Based on what you put in, it's going to tell you what areas are best for you. But what does it mean for sellers? The era of listing a home, sitting back, fielding multiple offers in a weekend is over in most parts of the South Bay and Long Beach. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because sellers who understand this are the ones who are still moving homes quickly and at a strong price. And sellers who are still operating on 2021 logic are the ones who are sitting on the market for 90 days, wondering what went wrong. Here is the clearest proof point I can give you. Torrance right now, for example, according to March 2026 data, homes are selling in 32 days at over asking with just 1.6 months of supply. That is a competitive market. Sellers in Torrance who price correctly are still winning, but the same data shows that 42% of homes there sold over asking, down from 55% this time last year. That drop tells you that the buffer is gone. You can't pad the price by 5 or 10% and expect the market to meet you. You need to come in right from day one. But compare this to Palos Verdes estates. In February 2026, 0% of homes sold over asking, according to the data. That figure was 20% just a year earlier. Homes are averaging 99 days on market. That is a completely different conversation from Torrance. And sellers in Palos Verdes estates who come in priced at 2022 comps are going to have a very long and frustrating experience. I closed a home in Hermosa Beach for just over $4 million a few years ago, after a previous listing agent had it sitting for 11 months with no offers. Same home. The difference was pricing strategy and how the property was presented to the market. That is not a fluke. That is what I see again and again in this market. A correctly priced, well-presented home still moves. An overpriced home just accumulates days on market, and once a home has been sitting for 60 to 90 days, buyers start assuming something is wrong with it. In Long Beach, homes are now selling for about 99% of asking price, according to Home Acquire's February 2026 data, but this is down from a year ago. Sellers in Long Beach who are watching medium listing prices per square foot drift down slightly need to understand that the market is telling them something. Buyers are comparison shopping in a way they simply could not do 2 years ago. There are more options, they have more time, and they will move on if a home feels slightly overpriced. The sellers who are navigating this well are the ones having an honest conversation about current comps, not what their neighbor got in 2022. They are thinking about presentation, about what story the home tells a buyer the moment it hits the MLS. And they are responsive when feedback starts coming in. This market still rewards great homes and smart sellers. It just does not cover for mistakes the way 2021 did. Price a home for whatever you want and it would sell. This is not the case anymore. We've covered a lot of ground on what the market is doing across the South Bay, but knowing the market data is only half the picture. The other half is understanding which specific neighborhood in which specific price tier actually fits your situation before you make a 7-figure commitment. If you pick the wrong area, you could be looking at a lifestyle that doesn't match what you came here for. So which areas are shifting most? Let's get specific, shall we? Because the South Bay is not one market. Prices literally change from one street to the next in some of these cities. And the shift we're talking about is landing very differently depending on where you look. Let's start at the top of the peninsula and work our way down. Palos Verdes Estates is the area where the shift is most pronounced right now. Medium days on market, 99. 7.5 months of supply, that's a lot. Only 5 homes sold in February 2026. As I mentioned, 0% sold over asking. The typical home value is just under 2.8 million. But the on-the-ground reality is that buyers have significant leverage, especially in the upper brackets above 4 million, where homes are taking the longest to move. Palos Verdes Estates is still a stunning, desirable market, But if you are a seller there who is pricing on last year's comps, the data is telling you clearly that buyers are not meeting you at that number. Rancho Palos Verde is a little more mixed. January 2026 data shows a median price of just under 1.9 million. Average days on market is over 100 versus 73 just a year ago. According to Palos Verde Homes Best, luxury homes across the PV Peninsula saw median days jump from 40 this time last year to 119. The larger the home, the higher the price, the longer it's sitting. Now, here's a contrast that tells the South Bay story really clearly. Torrance is one of the tightest markets in the entire South Bay right now. 32 days on market, selling for over list price, only 1.6 months of supply. Palos Verdes Estates has over 7 months. The South Bay Torrance zip code 90505 showed a median price point of 1.5 million in March 2026, up 6.3 year over year. West Torrance is school driven and stays competitive because the buyer pool there is mostly families who have done their research and know exactly which pocket they want to be in. This market is not correcting, it's performing. And Manhattan Beach is the most nuanced story here, and it comes down entirely to the price tier. At the headline level, Redfin's May 2026 data shows a median sales price of 3.7 million, up over 20% year over year, with 118 homes sold and an average of 28 days on market. That is incredibly fast for that price point. That headline is strong. But when you go deeper, the tier split matters enormously. In the 2.5 to 4.5 million range, well-priced homes are moving in less than 45 days. Above 6 million, you're looking at 60 to 150 days, sometimes longer, according to the LA Metro's Home Finder report. The luxury buyer pool above 8 million in the South Bay is thin. That is a fact sellers at this level need to hear before setting expectations. Cash buyers still make up about 30% of Manhattan Beach transactions per the Manhattan Beach News, though that's down from nearly 50% in each of the prior 2 years. Hermosa Beach is a low volume market where the numbers move around a lot. Data shows that homes in Hermosa were sitting longer, with median days on market close to 80, and buyers have more choice and negotiating room than in previous years. The house versus condo split matters here too. Property Shark's Q3 in 2025 shows that homes in Hermosa Beach sold for a median 2.8 million, but condos are flat. Prices aren't going up, selling for around 1.6 million. If you're a condo buyer or seller in Hermosa Beach, that is a very different conversation than if you're looking at single family homes. South Redondo Beach is a steady performer in this part of the South Bay. To be honest, Redondo Beach has been rising, but homes are kind of steady right now, with price per square foot rising, inventory thinning, and homes moving with fewer price cuts. Ocean view properties in the South Redondo continue to command strong interest. That walkability and beach-style lifestyle is a consistent draw that buffers this part of the market from some of the softening you see further up the peninsula. Long Beach, though, that's its own chapter. The median sales price here is under 850 grand, up 8% though year after year. But homes are taking longer, averaging about 65 days on market, up from 53 days just a year ago. Active inventory has also surged, up about 12%, and new listings jumped almost 40% according to Listing Hub AI. Long Beach still only has 3.2 months of supply. That is very low. So it's not a buyer's market by the traditional definition, but buyers have more options than they did just a year ago. The close to 47% price reduction rate in January 2026 tells you that sellers are overpricing and getting a clear message from the market. Buyers in Long Beach are taking their time, doing their homework. The ones with a good agent are still finding solid opportunities. The through line across all of these areas is the same. The market has rebalanced, but it has not rebalanced equally. Torrance, South Redondo Beach is still tight. Palos Verde Peninsula, especially the luxury end, has the most pronounced softening. Manhattan Beach depends entirely on which price tier you're operating in. And Long Beach has given buyers more breathing room without collapsing on price. So you have the picture. The market's shifted. Different areas are feeling it differently. Now the practical question, what do you actually do about it? And let me give you my honest read separately for buyers and sellers. For buyers, rates could drop in the second half of 2026, definitely in 2027. Inventory is meaningfully higher than it has been in years. And in several South Bay areas, you are not walking into a bidding war. You have time to get inspections done properly. You have room to negotiate, especially on anything that has been sitting for 45 days or more. That combination does not last forever though. If rates drop towards 5.5, which some experts are predicting, the buyers who have been waiting on the sidelines are going to come back into the market. When that happens, you lose the negotiating room you have today. I'm not telling you to rush into something that is not right for you and your family. I don't want you buying something you're not going to want down the road. But if you have done your research, you know the area, you find a home that fits your family and your budget, waiting for a better moment is probably not the smart play right now. For sellers, pricing is everything in this market. Not presentation, not timing the season, not which day of the week to list, pricing. Right priced homes in the South Bay are still moving. Torrance is proof of that. South Redondo Beach is proof of that. But overpriced homes are now accumulating days on market in a way that damages them further. Once a listing hits 60 to 90 days without an offer, buyers start asking what's wrong with it. And that perception is very hard to undo without a significant price cut. The conversation I'm having with seller clients right now is about current comps, not 2022 comps. What did similar homes sell for in the last 2 to 3 months, not 2 to 3 years ago? What is the current absorption rate in your specific pocket? That is the number that tells you whether you have leverage or whether the buyer does. The overall message here is the same one I keep coming back to. This is not a crash, it's a reset. And resets create opportunities on both sides if you approach them with clear eyes. Buyers who have been frustrated by the last few years of impossibility now have a genuine opening. Sellers who price to the current market still move homes. The frenzy is gone, but the South Bay is still one of the most desirable coastal markets in the country, and for good reason. The same with Long Beach. It's still the cheapest beach town in all of Southern California. Everything I've covered today, the micro market data, the pricing reality in each area, what buyers have room to negotiate, and where sellers still have leverage, that all comes down to one thing: making the wrong call on which area to buy in or pricing your home based on the wrong comparable could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's no joke, I've seen it. When prices are flat or rising slowly, these mistakes are much harder to recover from. If you're relocating to the South Bay and trying to decide between Manhattan Beach, Torrance, South Redondo Beach, maybe the Peninsula, or if you're a seller trying to understand what your home is actually worth right now, give me a call, shoot me a text. I'm going to be the one who answers. Maybe we can jump on a Zoom call. I absolutely love helping people from my YouTube channel, and guess what? I hope to help you too.